This is a severe weather alert. You are watching 13 on your side.
Welcome to our severe weather coverage, live streaming. Chief Meteorologist George Lessens along with Michael Behrens. He'll be at the big wall here in a moment. Wanted to continue to bring you updates on the latest severe weather threat. We have severe thunderstorm warnings that were issued a while ago for Allegan and Van Buren counties until 10:15 this evening. These storms are barreling through these counties fairly quickly as they move off to the east northeast at about 50 miles per hour. Heavy downpours and even some very strong winds. And if you notice, there is a threat tag up in the upper left-hand corner of a tornado possible. We're tracking this area right here for just south of South Haven along I-196 north of Waterville 8, south of South Haven for the possibility of severe weather. We're zooming in on that area as of right now. You can see this little twist in the clouds right there, that small dot right there. This possible waterspout may be coming onshore as a possible tornado. That's why the threat tag has a tornado listed in it. We are a little bit north with the South Haven camera and it is still daylight, so just some heavy rain right now in those areas. Again, that's that tornado warning that is going on down to the, or I should say severe thunderstorm warning down to the south. And we're keeping an eye on that as well. This is a good time to review what is going on in terms of severe weather this time of year. We had a tornado watch issued earlier to this afternoon or this evening for Allegan and Berry counties southward that was issued right around 8:51. This will be in effect until 3 a.m. This is in response to the tornadoes that went through the metro Chicago area. Now they're translating across the lake, coming on shore into Allegan and Van Buren counties. So a tornado watch means you got to be prepared. So you should already have done that because that was issued about a half an hour ago. If perhaps a tornado warning is issued, that means a tornado is happening and or is expected. So you would need to head to a place of safe shelter. And where might that be? If you have a home with a basement, of course, the lowest part of your home or in the center part or northeastern part of your home in the basement, don't go under any heavy objects that are on the first floor like a refrigerator or something like that. Better place to be under the stairway down to your basement, under a heavy table or workbench. Cover yourself under a mattress or blankets and avoid windows. That's in case a tornado warning is issued. In homes without basements, a little different story. Again, you want to be on the lowest floor, farthest away from the storm coming on in. I want to avoid the windows. If you can get into a windowless room like a bathroom or a closet, that would be also very, very beneficial. I know a lot of folks have mobile or manufactured housing. You got to get out of those. You got to get somewhere to a nearby community shelter if you can. And if you have a bicycle helmet, take it with you. You can always protect your head. A lot of folks are out camping. It is not a night to be camping. Get out of your campers or tents because they've been toppled over very easily. If you can, seek shelter in a sturdy building. Lie flat, face down on low ground to protect your head if you can. Get far away from any trees that may fall on you. And also, you want not to be in any kind of cars. I'm going to turn it over to Michael Behrens and see if he can track what's going on with those storms down in Allegan and Van Buren counties for where there might be possible rotation.
Yeah, that's right, George. We're keeping a close eye on particularly Allegan and Van Buren counties. We've seen some changes in these storms as they've started to come on shore, and it's positive changes for now. We haven't seen anything more alarming than what we saw offshore, though we are keeping a close eye on several portions with this storm. Remember, the green is winds coming toward the radar. The reds are winds going away from the radar. So we have a few areas in here where you get some rotation. This probably going in the wrong direction. Actually, no, this is the right direction. We've seen some wind outflow there, some inflow there. So we do have a little bit of rotation potential. That would be to the east of US 196 southwest of Fenville, seeing at least the potential for some little rotation at this time. We're going to go down a little bit further towards South Haven, and again, we kind of see at least some potential for a little bit of rotation. And let me adjust the settings here just one moment. We'll zoom back up towards South Haven. Again, you see those areas where the greens and the reds are right next to each other, where we could see at least the potential for some rotation. Some of that offshore from South Haven here, another little bit getting really close to the South Haven shoreline. So if you're along 196 in Van Buren County, this would be the time to take this storm pretty seriously. We don't see a tornado warning right now, but what we are seeing are signs that there's still some rotation inside this storm. And I want to go ahead and we'll back this up about 10-20 minutes here, and we'll move it just into the past to show you just how these storms have kind of adjusted themselves over time. This was 9/14, so a little bit ago. You can see that some of the stronger signs of the potential rotation offshore, they've weakened a little bit as we moved into the real time, but you can still see where that signature is approaching the South Haven area. This will likely come onshore somewhere north of downtown South Haven, not by a lot, close to the Allegan County border. So this is going to be an area to watch and see if we do see stronger signs of tornadic activity here. But again, we are watching that area in Allegan County, again toward the southwest of Finnville. This definitely, to me at least, has some signs of rotation there. You can see it just to the east of Glen in portions of Allegan County. I'm going to pop over real quick just to the radar as well to see what portion of the storm we're here. We're pretty deep inside the storm, so it is possible we could see some rotation in this portion of the storm that is now to the east of 196. And these are going to be things we're watching very carefully here over the next hour plus, maybe 2 hours, as these storms get over to Berry County and eventually over toward Calhoun County as well. So there's plenty to keep an eye on as we head throughout the rest of this evening. I want to go ahead and zoom out just a little bit here to give you a better scope of what we're looking at when it comes to this particular section of the storms. Again, nothing that is massively loud as far as rotation potential, but a couple small signs of rotation that we're watching, again, with these areas where that green and the red come together, showing how the winds are rotating around certain portions of this storm. The radar back off to our north and east in Grand Rapids. The radar beams coming in this way. So when we split that difference here and we see winds on one side going inside, one outside, that is an area of possible rotation. George?
Yeah, I've got another look at that as well on our Max 1. If you could, we can see a little bit of a difference in what we're showing. Instead of the greens and reds, this strips everything out to exactly where the rotation would be. Those dark blue areas are where the maximum rotation would be. And as you can point it out, as Michael pointed out, just around the Van Buren State Park area and south of Watervliet is where we are seeing that strongest rotation. So if you're in those areas, you should already be watching us from your phone or your tablet down in your basement. I wanted to get a quick look and see what the Grand South Haven Tower Cam was looking like from the Visitors Bureau there. Did have quite a bit of activity going on there for a little while. There were some strong winds. It looks like they're blowing onshore now, but right now, Michael, I just see some heavy rain there. But the concern is, of course, again, further south, down in those areas I just pointed out, with the possible rotation. There was a possible water spout indicated on the radar. I noticed, Michael, if you see right there, there is a stronger rotation that's just popped up in the next level. I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer to see if I can get it down right to the street level. There we go. This is along 30th Avenue. It looks like down in Bangor Township. That is east of Van Buren State Park, south of County Road 380, it looks like. So this seems to be the area, Michael, where there are going to be some issues. I haven't seen anything on the Consumers Power outage map to see if there are any reported outages down there, but that doesn't mean there aren't any. That is actually a little bit outside of the Consumers Energy location, but nonetheless, as we mentioned here just a few moments ago, the places that you need to be are on the lowest level of your home, or if you're in a mobile home, you need to be evacuating very quickly. Even though it's raining out, you need to be getting into a place of safe shelter, especially if you're in a Geneva Township, Bangor Township, and if you're in Bangor, you need to be in a place on the lowest level. Anything additional, Michael, that you might want to pass along?
Yeah, just taking a look back at the velocity data here, definitely some very bright returns, but if nothing else are indicative of some strong winds inside this storm near that Bangor Township area. I'll switch over to our drawing tool here. And again, these are the two areas we're watching here. We got this area of bright greens in here and another area of bright greens down in here. We're watching for the potential that we see rotation develop in here. We got the inbound and the outbound winds. So here are the bright greens. These are winds that are coming in toward the radar, where we have these little bits of red on the other side. These are winds that are rotating the other direction away from the radar. So again, these are areas where we could see the potential for some rotation. And George, sounds like you've got some more information over there as well.
Yes, just hang out with Michael for a minute, and as I call up my graphics, yeah, tornado warning has just been issued. As we jump to that, there we are. This is a tornado warning. This will be in effect for Van Buren County, it appears. I'm going to zoom in on our other map here to show you what's going on. Tornado warning for southern Van Buren County. You can hear the sirens going off. Most likely your NOAA weather radio is going off. Perhaps your app is buzzing at you right now. So this is a radar indicated tornado for Van Buren County until 10:15 this evening.
You could reset, hit the open, and take us live on to join our television partners as well. I think, George, do you agree?
Yes, I do agree. Absolutely. Let's do that.
Is a severe weather alert. You are watching 13 on your side.
Chief Meteorologist George Lessens along with Michael Behrens in the 13 on your side Weather Center. Situation has increased in severity. National Weather Service here in Grand Rapids has now issued a tornado warning. This is for folks in southern Van Buren County. Again, tornado warning for southern Van Buren County until 10:15 this evening. That means we are going to stay on the air until the threat has passed. This is for areas like Decatur, Lawton, and Matawan. And this storm is moving off to the east at about 45 miles per hour. The impacts from this will be from flying debris, those caught outside of a sheltered location. You're going to be in a problem here. So you need to be moving to a place of safe shelter. Take cover now, move to a basement or an interior room on the lowest floor of a sturdy building to protect yourself and life and property. Michael, when you're ready, if you have a look at the radar, we will have you take a look at the storm inside.
Yeah, we are seeing some pretty strong signs of rotation working their way into portions of Van Buren County. This area right here, this just to the northwest of Sister Lakes. This is pushing along M140 north of M152. This is some pretty strong signs of rotation here. We've been talking about it if you've been watching us on our digital platforms, the greens and the reds. They're into the radar, away from the radar. This right here, definite strongest sign of rotation that we've seen so far this evening. And these storms are moving their way off toward the east, ever so slightly toward the northeast. They're moving about 25 miles per hour. So I'm going to go ahead and take a wider view here of this area of rotation, and we're going to put the storm tracker on that central portion of rotation that has just creeped its way further into portions of Van Buren County at this hour. Storms, they're moving about 20 to 30 miles per hour. So we're going to take this out over about the next hour or so, and you can see where that storm's going to likely be toward Hamilton Township here by 9:43 to Decatur at 9:57, Decatur Township at 10:02. I'm going to go back and check the speed on the storm, make sure I got it as close as we can here, about 26 miles per hour. So yeah, this is pretty good on the timeline here. Let me get out of the way of that for you just so you can see it better at home. Again, Hamilton Township by 9:43, Decatur at 9:57, Decatur Township at 10:02. It's this area right in here, south of 94, southern side of Van Buren County, that is working its way off toward the east that has prompted that tornado warning here this evening. George, what are you seeing on your end?
Pretty much the same thing. I just wanted to recap with areas of safe shelter for you, and the places that you need to be are on the lowest level of your home, in a basement, center part or northeast part of your home. That is for folks in Lawton and in the Bangor area. You need to get under a stairway if you can. Avoid windows just to make sure you do it calmly as you head down the stairs. Again, in homes without basement, this is a place where you need to be at the lowest floor, away from the storm, which would mean on the east and northeast side of your home. Seek shelter in a windowless room like a bathroom or a closet. Again, just avoid windows if you can. If you're in a mobile home, tornado watch was issued quite a while ago, and when tornado watches are issued, you should head to someplace other than your mobile home if you can. Seek shelter in a nearby community shelter if you can, and take your bicycle helmets. Other than that, if you're doing some camping, this is not the kind of weather to be out out in the rain. We all know that. Get out of your campers or tents and, again, seek shelter in a sturdy building. Get far away from any falling trees and cars that may be going on in West Michigan. For those of you just joining us, I know we are recapping a lot of our weather information, but there are a lot of folks that are just finding out about the tornado warnings and are just tuning in and looking for weather information. So we will likely be repeating some of this several times over the next several minutes. Tornado warning was issued a little while ago for southern Van Buren County, including the cities of Decatur, Lawton, and Matawan until 10:15 this evening, and we will be on the air until this threat passes for those folks there. And what Michael was tracking, once again, we put this into an animation, shows you where the reds and greens are closest to each other. Green means a wind going toward the radar, and the red is the outbound. So when you get those two really close together, you get a circulation, something like this. And that's where the warned storm is located in southwest Van Buren County, just north of the line down there. And if you're in those areas, this is the place where you need to be heading for a place of safe shelter. I don't have any new information to pass along. Michael, what do you have?
This particular area of Van Buren County kind of splits between two radars. We have one in northern Indiana and one, of course, here in Grand Rapids. And both radars are showing very similar features here this evening. So again, we'll take a look at the northern Indiana radar right now, which is what you're seeing on your screen. The radar in this case further to the south. So the winds that we're seeing here in red, these are going away from the radar. The winds in green coming toward the radar. So it's this area right in here where we're seeing that rotation potential here this evening as the tornado warning for a radar indicated threat continues, as that storm's going to be working its way off toward the north and east. So if you're over toward M51 north of Decatur along I-94, this is going to be the dangerous place for this particular storm. And watch as I move the map here just a little bit further back to the north. We switch over to the Grand Rapids radar. We see this exact same pattern pop up. So this is a very good sign that even though we're somewhat away from both radars, that both radars are reporting very similar conditions, means that this potential for rotation, again, not a confirmed tornado, but a radar indicated tornado, is certainly a threat worth considering here this evening and watching very carefully as we work our way through the next hour or so here. This warning goes for about the next 40 minutes till 10:15 tonight. I want to go ahead and zoom out just a little bit further so you can see the extent of the warning, again, stretching all across southern Van Buren County, all the way over toward the Matawan area, toward Lawton, Decatur. The biggest threat, I would say, probably going to stay north of Decatur, at least on the current track. It's this area right in here where those bright greens and those bright reds come together. I want to go ahead and again put the storm track on it for you here. The center of the storm will lead it just a little bit because the radars only update about every 2.5 to 5 minutes. Depends on the type of pattern they're scanning in. So we'll track this storm out again about 26 miles per hour over the next hour. That's going to put it in Pawpaw Township here at 9:59, Pawpaw at 10:06, into Antwerp Township by 10:13, Matawan by 10:18. At that point, it takes it outside the area currently covered by the warning. But if we do see this particular storm continue to grow, we could see that threat continue to grow here this evening as well. The good news is this would be the only severe line that we're expecting this evening, George. And again, as we get through the next couple of hours, probably going to see more alerts come with it.
Absolutely. You need to be very weather aware here this evening. I wanted to show you a little different view of the storm that Michael has been tracking. This strips out all of the red and green and just shows the actual areas where they're the highest rotation in the area. This is in Keeler Township. We're zoomed so far in. This is northeast of Sisters Lake. This is along County Road 687 and Territorial Road. This is where the last radar update was. And you can see that has moved very quickly now east of County Road 687, heading toward County Road 681 out of Keeler Township into Hamilton Township. This has had a history of rotation all the way back over southern Lake Michigan. We're going to put it into motion here. You can see how that just rotates on through. Very similar to what Michael was showing you earlier. You can see how the progression of that storm came in off of Lake Michigan, where there was a the special marine warned storm as a possible water spout. You can see where the red and green are very close together. That is very similar to what I just showed you in here. This is the area of concern, generally west of Decatur, as this storm moves east at about 40 miles per hour. And we've been recapping the warnings for you to tell you what the updates have been. And for those of you that have just joined us, there are a lot of folks that are still searching information, channel surfing. They finally finished their movie, whatever. They're looking for new information. The tornado warning was issued at about 9:28 this evening, so that was about 10 minutes or so ago. For southern Van Buren County, this is a radar indicated tornado, and it does include the cities of Decatur, Lawton, and Matawan. This will continue to be in effect until 10:15, and we're going to stay on the air until the threat has passed. So bear with us. A lot of folks are still tuning in to find more weather and news information. Michael, anything new on your end?
Yeah, just to go ahead and recap the alerts that we have in place right now across West Michigan. A couple active severe thunderstorm warnings, including the one that carries up into Allegan County down through Van Buren County. There's one down in Berrien County, further down toward the Indiana border as well. That particular warning covering portions of Cass County too. Those go, the severe thunderstorm warning up here goes till 10:15. The one Berrien and Cass goes till 9:45. The tornado warning that's in southern portions of Van Buren County, that's till 9:15. Broader across the board, I'll get rid of some of the details here on the screen for you. The tornado watch, that's the area out here filled in with the lighter yellow. This is going to go until officially 3 a.m., but I'm not expecting the threat to stay with us till 3 a.m. But it will be something that we keep an eye on as these storms move through, because they are expecting at least the potential for severe weather to stretch all the way across the strait, even over toward Detroit, as we work our way further into the evening. So this is going to be a line of storms that we have to keep watching as it develops here over the next little bit. You're going to see a variety of colors here on the screen when it comes to these warnings as well, as because there's very different information that it passes along to you. When it comes to thunderstorm warnings, your base warnings, those are just the regular run-of-the-mill stuff. It gets more intense from there. Tornado possible, that's what we're seeing here this evening. When it comes to the tornadic threat, so far it's only radar indicated, which is good news, but we're going to be watching it very carefully, because if it moves up toward a confirmed or a considerable threat, if we start to see much more signs that a tornado might be on the ground, that's where we get into more serious situations. And even though this is a potentially life-threatening situation, it certainly could get more aggressive from here as we head throughout the next hour or two as these storms work their way across West Michigan. We're going to be watching these storms all evening long again as they do. And again, that tornado warning in place till 10:15. So we're going to be here tracking those storms till at least then. Right now we're coming up on, what is it, about 9:41 or so. So we got about 35 minutes left of that particular tornado warning with this storm that is down in Van Buren County. So again, it is still producing the potential for some strong severe weather here. So we're going to be watching it very carefully. I want to switch back over to that velocity data. Again, that lets us see inside the storm, see how the winds are doing. And well, to me, George, this looks about as most intense as it's ever been so far here this evening. Very strong signs of rotation down along M51, southern portions of Van Buren County. Let me switch over to specifically the Grand Rapids radar, and you can see just how bright that return is just to the northwest of where M51 makes that jaunt over toward the east. We're seeing possibly even two areas of rotation, that one very intensely right there near M51, and then one again further to the north of there. George?
A little different look at the inside of the storm. It's what we call debris potential. I wanted to show you, Michael, a little bit of a spike right in here of perhaps some debris that might be lofted. It could also be a little bit of noise in the radar. It's really hard to see at that angle. You can see there's been some noise along the radar, what we call the radial, but that particular area right in through here does line up fairly well where the actual debris or the actual rotation is located, which is again right about in here. This lines up very well, doesn't it, Michael? It looks pretty intense right through here. I want to see if this will stay on the screen for me. Yes, right in through here. This could be some debris starting to be lifted aloft. So again, if you are in Decatur or south of Lawrence, you should already be below ground, someplace safe shelter. This is showing me, again, stripping out all of that red and green. This is where the most intense rotation is at the present time. I'm going to hit this into the now category, zoom a little bit closer so we can get down to the street level so the folks can know if they're safe or not safe. This is just south of Territorial Road, County Road 215. This is in western Hamilton Township. Again, in the cities of Decatur, you should be watching out for this storm approaching very, very quickly. Michael, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning. I don't know if it popped up on your system over there. Let's see if we can check out, see where it's at. I'm going to pop that up over here, Michael, and I'll have the latest information for you momentarily as I zoom through all of my warnings here. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Waiting for the confirmation to pop up on the screen here. And this is a new severe thunderstorm warning for whom, Michael? Let's see. Let's find out.
It looks like it's down in Cass and I want to say St. Joseph.
Yes, I believe it
counties.
is. Yes, it's down in the Dowagiac Three Rivers area. This one was for 10:30. That's on the very southern flank of that storm. See if you can line something up there, Michael, and track some storms just south of Schoolcraft. That's actually near Dowagiac, but that's going to be moving down into the Three Rivers area.
Yeah, St. Joseph County, Cass County, you guys are under a severe thunderstorm warning here this evening. New warning in place till 10:30 tonight. The concerns with this particular area of the storm, not tornadic at the moment, but possible 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. And it's going to be for the portion of the storm that's working its way out of Behrens County and into portions of Cass County at this hour. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in to that part of the storm where we're tracking it just now moving its way into portions of Cass County. This is going to be right near Indian Lake right now to the north of the Dowagiac area and then back over in toward the area of northern St. Joseph County toward Marcellus. We'll be watching that particular portion of the storm. And again, as George was mentioning, the rotation potential and the potential for even some possible debris in the air over towards southern portions of Van Buren County. That would be the area of concern to keep an eye on. And again, something correlation coefficient like George was talking about looks up inside the storm. The area of concern right now would be more over toward Decatur, toward Lawton. We see some weakening back south of Lawrence, but I think we're too far away from that particular rotating part of the storm for that to be too concerning. Could just be an anomaly at the moment, but something to keep an eye on. We'll switch over to the Indiana radar, and they're both showing a weakening over toward the southern side of Lawrence, which would be fairly concerning. But again, we'll switch over to the velocity data, and it's potentially something to keep an eye on because, again, that rotation is over toward Decatur. The weakening's up here. So, I mean, potentially, if there is a tornado on the ground toward Decatur, it could throw debris in the air, could come down somewhere else. But this is going to be an area to watch very carefully because it still shows those strong signs of rotation. I talk about the greens and the reds and what that means, but, I mean, this guy here, this just looks like a spiral coming off the northern Indiana radar. Again, that area along M51. This is going to pass north of Decatur. You can see the newest scan right here showing that signature as well. George, what do you have?
You were talking about what we call in the business correlation coefficient. We call it debris potential. Michael, this has actually gotten a little bit larger right in through here. I don't know if you can see that or not, Michael. Yeah, that was much larger than the previous scan, which means there is debris getting lofted right in there. It's very subtle. You can't see those on your radar apps on your phone or untrained basement meteorologists. Look at that, Michael. Look at that. That is lofted debris. This is huge right in here. This is just south of 94. Just south of Lawrence, northwest of Decatur. I'm going to try to zoom in even harder, or even closer, taking a hard look at that. Yeah, that is just south of County Road 365. My vision is not that great. That is in Lawrence Township, just south of Lawrence. If I back it up a couple of runs, you can see that it's moving northeast. So that'll be crossing 94 west of Paw Paw, south of Lawrence here very, very closely. I want to see if I can do the same as you were looking with the red and green. Yeah, that's right exactly where that lines up perfectly. So this is most likely, if it's not a tornado on the ground, it is certainly lofting the debris from the mesocyclone, the rotation. It looks like it just updated on the northern Indiana radar for me. But again, this is the area of concern right there where there's now looks like lofted debris. I think this might be one of the first times I have seen debris on the radar, Michael, other than the storms that came through Allegan and also Kent County several years ago, which was on my birthday on August 19th. Are you seeing anything other than I am seeing, Michael?
Well, we're keeping an eye on a couple areas of rotation inside these storms. When we were watching them earlier tonight near Chicago, the same storms were producing multiple areas of rotation. And I think we're potentially seeing some of that here this evening as well, because inside of this particular area of severe thunderstorms, we're seeing the potential for maybe 2, even 3 areas where there might be a rotation potential that could turn into a tornado. We have that one that is down toward portions of Decatur. We have one just off to the northeast of there, and then one up toward Lawrence Township. And this guy up here, this is that one that's coinciding with the potential debris in the air as well. In fact, let me switch the radar over here. We'll go back to that debris potential, and we'll just see how that lines up with that storm. Remember that circle that just went away? Right there. We'll put a box around it instead of a circle. But that area right there is the area of concern where, again, there could be some debris in the air related to a potential tornado. This would be moving south of Lawrence, almost right along the northern edge of that warning. Let me put that warning line on the map for you as well. You can see that tornado warning right here. This is almost going to get toward the outside of that particular warning. So this might be something where the Weather Service may end up extending a warning a little bit further to the north, because again, let me take a bit of a zoom out here. We'll take the storm tracker and we'll put it back on this further northern portion of the storm where that weakening in the debris tracker is. And if this is moving again about 26 miles per hour off toward the north and east, this particular area is going to get into Paw Paw Township by 10 o'clock, Paw Paw by 10:06, and Antwerp Township by 10:13, Matawan by 10:18. So this would be an area of concern, especially with the correlation between what we're seeing with the possibility for debris and, again, the possibility for some rotation in there. George?
Recapping the warnings here in West Michigan, I know a lot of folks are saying, hey, you're repeating yourself, you're saying the same thing over and over, but these are for the folks down in southern Van Buren County to keep them safe. Just wanted to recap the warnings if you are just tuning in or channel surfing, trying to get different information. This is a radar indicated tornado. It is for portions of Van Buren County. It is more in the Lawton area and up toward Matawan. I think more in the Lawton area and east of Decatur now. This warning expected to last for about another 25 minutes or so until 10:15. Again, a radar indicated storm. Maximum hail would be up to 1 inch in diameter, but the main threat from this is from the debris that might be lofted from that particular storm. We've focused in on the storm a little bit further north of Bloomingdale, but this is the storm that Michael has been talking about, the rotation. What we track is the rotation with the wind coming in toward the radar and the wind going away from the radar, different colors. And so when you do that, and then move on over to just stripping all of that out, you get this little bit of a signature. Oh, I want to go back. A little bit of a signature that shows where that strongest rotation, we're actually even getting a little bit of a curl in the rotation itself, indicating that there must be some kind of strong circulation on the ground or very close to the ground, because the radar beam is actually up a couple of thousand feet, because we all know that the Earth is round, and so we're probably intersecting this at about 2,000 or 3,000 feet above the ground. If you're in Decatur, this storm is already on top of you. The winds are going to pick up very, very quickly if they haven't already done so, and then it'll be too late. We've been showing you this particular signature, which indicates right here in the radar debris. This could be debris lofted. This could be blowing around just a little bit. So this does have an indication that this might have been in contact with the ground, or it's been strong enough to lift off that debris up into the cloud itself, and it's all part of that large area of showers and thunderstorms that came out of the Chicagoland area. If you've been watching the coverage anywhere, they have had multiple reports of tornadoes, which has since moved to the east, and this is the line that has come through the area. So again, tornado warning for portions of our viewing area. This is in southern and southeastern Van Buren County until 10:15 this evening. There are also severe thunderstorm warnings that are also in effect for portions of our viewing area. This is down through Allegan and portions of Van Buren County, again until 10:15 this evening, and they do extend further south down into portions of Cass and St. Joseph County around the Three Rivers area. This is the storm that is expected to translate down in that area. Again, these are all radar indicated strong storms, but winds up to 60 miles per hour are certainly likely with this. The other threat has been this evening the flood issue. There are a number of flood advisories now that were upgraded from a flood watch earlier. So if you're out traveling around and you seem to need to go and see where the storms might be, storm chasing, you're going to run into a lot of water on the road. So a flood advisory is an upgrade from a flood watch, and that's because of all of the heavy rain that has fallen. About a half an hour ago, I polled some of the sites around west of Michigan. Already 1 to 2 inches of rain has fallen. I'm sure there has probably been at least another half to 1 inch on top of these amounts. So the flooding is an issue here this evening. Michael, do you have anything new for me?
Yeah, keeping an eye on that portion of the storm. Let's go ahead and go over to Max 2 to take a closer look at what we're seeing here. Again, we're watching the storm work its way through southern portions of Van Buren County. Again, watching the potential for rotation that has been quite long-lived and, again, possibly spread throughout a good section of the storm. Again, we'll switch the warning colors back on for you here so you can see the area inside that yellow box that remains under a tornado warning at this time. This is the northern Indiana radar. And again, like what we were saying earlier, this is the main section of rotation that we've been watching. It's now toward the east of Decatur, but there's also potential rotation up on the northern side of the system that was working its way south of Lawrence and continues to show at least potential for rotation throughout, really just broader across this entire area inside the circle here that could see rotation continuing and the potential for tornadoes, if not ongoing, quickly spinning up. We'll move the radar just slightly to the north until we get into the Grand Rapids scan again, and you can see that similar area. This is the area of concern between Decatur and Lawton. M51 over to M40 would be the area that you need to take immediate action in, and if you're east of M40 and the rest of southern portions of Van Buren County, this is going to be the area that you continue to need to take shelter from. Switching back to the debris potential there, and again, we're seeing that up to the north of 94. Seems a little displaced from the parent rotation portions of the storm. But again, if something got thrown into the air, it could come down in several spots. And again, we've seen the rotation potential at least over a good section of this line. So again, that seems to be changing and modifying itself as we work our way through the past hour here. In fact, I'll put the storm tracker on here over the last hour or so. And again, you can see that feature develop toward the south of Lawrence and then work its way toward 94 and then eventually over toward Pawpaw. So I want to see what this particular area lines up with when it comes to the radar. So we'll switch over to the radar. We'll track that back over the last hour as well, and then also taking a look inside the storm. So you can see that storm kind of flared up there. The northern side of it worked its way toward Lawrence and toward 94. Again, about the same time that that debris feature potentially showed up on radar. Then we'll switch over to just inside the storm. Again, over the last hour here, tracking it back. And you can see about that same time, we had at least some form of rotational feature coming toward Lawrence, toward 94. So again, it wouldn't be shocking to see this being potentially some debris in the air from that storm. But again, we're watching the areas of rotation that continue to stay and develop in different ways down towards southern portions of Van Buren County, really just up and down that entire line. We were talking about between M40 in portions of Decatur and M51. I really could see multiple areas of potential rotation along this line right now, George.
Just Recapping the severe thunderstorm warnings, cut back just a little bit for portions of Allegan and Van Buren counties, but tornado is still possible in these areas. A new update as of about 1 minute ago from the National Weather Service. Tornado warning remains in effect also for southeastern Van Buren County, but these are the severe thunderstorm warnings for Allegan and Van Buren counties. You should also already be in a place of safe shelter because of the possibility of tornadoes, as we've been talking about, and we will stay on the air until the threat of the tornadoes have passed. I wanted back into the tornado warning, which is down in southeastern portions of Van Buren County. I know a lot of folks are saying, you want to watch the ESPYs, but also folks need to be kept safe, and we will stay on the air until the folks that are in the path of the storm are out of the danger of the storm. So again, if you are in the Lawton area and portions of southeastern Van Buren County, you need to be in a place of safe shelter at the moment. Let's zoom on in to where we were tracking the storms earlier. Michael had a very good synopsis of the actual rotation right in through here. This is just south and east of the Decatur area, very brightly colored, switching back and forth between the Grand Rapids radar to the north and east. You can see those bright colors right next to each other. That is east of County Road 668, I believe, and County Road 669, it looks like. If you are in those areas, you are already experiencing the most intense part of the storm. This is switched now to the northern Indiana radar, lining up very closely, so of high confidence that there is at least some kind of rotation either on the ground or very close to the ground. Most likely there is a lot of wind with this as well. And as we were looking at it earlier, we were trying to find out where there might be some debris that might be lofted. It seems a little bit farther north, but I'm picking up some indications here, Michael, that there also might be some debris down in through here. And one last look, this is taking the red and green and putting it all together. And this is where the strongest rotation was about 4 or 5 minutes ago. They are rapidly scanning these storms about every 2 to 3 minutes, and we get the data as quickly as possible. So this is in southern Van Buren County, and these storms moving very quickly to the east at about 50 miles per hour. In just a moment, Michael, there you can, that's the severe thunderstorm warning, the new one now issued for Kalamazoo County. And as soon as I pop that up there and give you the information, I'll read it right from the National Weather Service. Here we go. Severe thunderstorm warning for Kalamazoo County. This will be until 11:30 tonight. Let me see if I can clear that out of there, Michael. There we go. For Kalamazoo, Oshtemo, and the cities of Portage, this is a radar indicated severe thunderstorm. And again, because of the rotation that is coming out of Van Buren County, this is a tornado possible threat with winds up to 60 miles per hour. Want to do some tracking on that, Michael?
Yeah, this is the same portion of the thunderstorm that we've been tracking for about the past hour here on the air at 13 on your side. The system that is coming in out of portions of Van Buren County, working its way now into portions of Kalamazoo County under a severe thunderstorm warning, again, as you said, till 11:30 tonight. Very similar situation to what we've seen here this evening with the potential for a tornado, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and a possible tornado that could come along with this storm. Haven't seen too much in the way of hail this evening. Going to continue to not see hail as a primary threat when it comes to that particular portion of the storm. As far as what we're seeing when it comes to storm motion here this evening, we've been seeing the storms moving east at about 30 miles per hour. So what I want to do is I want to track the entire leading edge of this system that's working its way now past M40 into portions of southeastern Van Buren County and now into Kalamazoo County, because this is the area, I would say, really anywhere along this line right there is where we could see the potential for a tornado or a spin-up tornado or a rotation or all of the above when it comes to the threats with this particular area of the storm. So again, we'll track that. We'll stretch it out here over about the next hour or so. It's moving at about 30 miles per hour. This is going to put it in Porter Township at 10:01, Texas Township at 10:13, Schoolcraft at 10:20, Portage at 10:26, and Vicksburg at 10:31. So this storm likely going to make it past the end of this warning before we see the warning expire, because again, that goes till 11:30 here tonight. So these storms, they're not moving insanely fast, but they are moving across West Michigan and again producing the potential for severe weather as they do. I want to go ahead and take another look inside the storm. It's been just a moment since we had that view here for you. And again, we're seeing very similar conditions coming through the M40 corridor right now between Paw Paw down to the southern border of Van Buren County. Again, this area of rotation in here now to the east of Decatur remains the strongest, but anywhere along this line from Paw Paw to Lawton down toward the south toward Cass County, St. Joseph County, we're going to see that area remain a potential hotbed for quick developing possible tornadoes and areas of rotation here this evening. I want to see if I can move the map here, just switch between the radars again. And again, both radars still showing signs of rotation toward M40. Again, remember the scans are a little bit behind what we actually see in terms of the placement of the storms in real time. So I would likely say most of the storm is probably getting close to the border of Kalamazoo County and going to be pushing across that line into Kalamazoo County, eventually working its way toward US 131 as we head through the next 30 minutes here, and we continue to watch that severe thunderstorm with that potential for tornadic development. George.
Wanted to recap where the storms came from. These came out of the northern Illinois area. They developed very quickly, and as you can see, they produced wind gusts to about 54 miles per hour in Covert. That was about 30 minutes ago, but you can see there are also a number of tornadoes that occurred back to the west. Let me clear this off. I think there were at least 7 tornadoes that were shown on the map here in the suburbs of Chicago. This is in McCook County around 6:20 this evening, all in the suburbs, western suburbs. They actually had a tornado observed at the O'Hare Airport. Michael and I were watching the information coming in. We noticed one of the symbols on our map for the Chicago O'Hare Airport actually came in with not a thunderstorm symbol. It came in with a tornado symbol, right, Michael? It's one of the few times I've ever seen that. Also in Carroll Stream, there was a tornado around 6:44. These are all part of that same system. Tornado in South Elgin, also in Huntley at 6:16. These all developed very quickly, and also funnel cloud reported down near Boulder Hill. We have new information that has been coming in all evening. So just to recap what Michael was talking about, severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for portions of Allegan and Van Buren County for about another 10 minutes or so. All of Kalamazoo, or at least the southern half of Kalamazoo County, this is a radar indicated tornado, possible tornado though also with this storm. So if you're in the Kalamazoo region south of there through Schoolcraft, this is the time that you need to head to a place of safe shelter. A lot of the folks are just joining us from Kalamazoo County and wondering what is going on, so we will stay on the air until the threat has passed for those areas. I was looking at the new tornado warning that came out, what time is it right now? 3 minutes ago. This is from the National Weather Service. That tornado warning remains in effect. It's expected to remain in effect until at least 10:15. That is again for this area, southeastern Van Buren County. The threat looks like it may have passed Decatur. Nonetheless, areas to the south of Lawton and heading into southwestern Kalamazoo County, those are the areas of concern right now. You should be heading to a place of safe shelter, and a lot of folks are saying, what is a place of safe shelter? Well, let me let you know. If you do have a basement, the best place would be in the center or northeastern part of your storm, your storm shelter. Don't go in any heavy objects on the first floor. Avoid windows at all costs, and if you can get under a stairway, that would be most definitely the best place to be. In homes without basements, the lowest floor in your home on the eastern or northeastern side of the storm, since the storm is coming in from the west. Again, if you could find a windowless bathroom or even a closet, just for a few minutes, that would be the best thing. Avoid windows at all costs. Mobile homes, because the tornado watch was issued earlier, you need to get out before these storms develop. If you are in eastern Kalamazoo, southern Kalamazoo County, you might have a few minutes to get into something more substantial, a nearby community shelter. If you have any bicycle helmets, football helmet from your younger days, take that. Just protect your head at all costs. And because of the heavy rains across the area, I know a lot of people are out in their campers and tents this time of year. You'll need to get out and seek shelter in a sturdy building. If you can't, lie flat face down on low ground, protect your head, get far away from trees and cars. We're going to start to continue to track those storms down to the south. Michael's heading over to the big green wall. I will start the coverage here with the severe track. This is south of Lawton. You can see right in through here. This is where the reds and the greens are very close together. So this is the area of concern for rotation and the possibility of perhaps even some debris being lofted there, which indicates that maybe a tornado is very close to the ground, or at least on the ground in those areas. Michael, you want to take over for that?
Yeah, and we're keeping a close eye on these storms as they work their way through into portions of Kalamazoo County, out of Van Buren County. Checking the power outages in this region. They're not served by consumers down here in Van Buren County. MEC, they've got some scattered power outages, probably less than a couple hundred in and around the Lawrence area and in and around toward Decatur. So this is the same area we are tracking the potential rotation from. And again, these aren't the type of signatures that I would say would be your classic deep south, Great Plains long-lived tornado. These things are very quickly changing, forming, scan to scan, could be going away, reforming, and really working their way back and forth along that pattern, which is what makes these so sporadic in nature and somewhat of a challenge to track in terms of us here in the weather world. But we're going to see that threat continue as these storms cross into southern portions of Kalamazoo County when it comes to at least the possibility for tornadoes to quickly form here this evening. We've seen the tornado warning that continues until 10:15, so about another 6 minutes here with the new severe thunderstorm warning on the other side as we work our way into portions of Kalamazoo County. When it comes to the areas of rotation right now, they are working their way likely just on the other side of the border into Kalamazoo County at this time. This is the northern Indiana radar. We'll zoom in up to the north of just a little bit here, the Grand Rapids radar. Again, waiting for that new scan to come in, but we are seeing the possibility for those areas of weak rotation to work their way into southern portions of Kalamazoo County, potentially now even seeing a little bit more rotation back into portions of Cass County at this hour as well. That will be heading toward the Marcellus area and over toward Three Rivers in the next little bit. I just want to switch over to the radar picture here and see what we see with that portion of the storm. Probably nothing too concerning with that right now, just because we're kind of in between cells. You can get some kind of funny returns on radars when you get into those areas, but it's something worth watching to see how that develops over the next few scans and see if that becomes something of concern for areas, again, toward Marcellus, toward the north and east of the Dowagiac area, and eventually over toward St. Joseph County and Three Rivers. We'll work our way back toward Kalamazoo County. Again, switch over to the view inside the storm here at this hour. See if we have that new scan in from National Weather Service Grand Rapids. Looks like we do. And again, we're still seeing that area, I would say, of the biggest concern that prompted the tornado warning to potentially still be rotating, at least to some degree. This would be to the west of Schoolcraft, west of US 131 at this time. Switch back over to north, the Grand Rapids scan. Again, not the kind of indication that would be a massive Great Plains type tornado, but the potential here for quick spinning tornadoes, things that would ramp up quickly, ramp down quickly, cause some damage, and be down the road. But it is still a very dangerous type of storm and very dangerous situation. Again, that potential for quick rotating storms really exists anywhere inside this circle here and eventually off further toward the east as well. So you could see just that waviness to this portion of the line where we'll be watching the possibility for rotation to form quickly, change, and reform further down the road. I want to put the storm track on it here again. We'll track this over about the next hour. This is moving about 30 miles per hour, pretty much off toward the east. That's going to put it into Prairie Ronde Township by 10:15, Schoolcraft by 10:22, Portage by 10:29, Brady Township by 10:40. George.
Once again, I'm going to recap the warnings for all of you. We've got a few more minutes, 4 minutes I count on the tornado warning for portions of south southeastern Van Buren County. One more time for those folks that are just joining us. We've been doing continuous coverage since the tornado warning was issued about 45 minutes ago. This is about ready to exit the southeastern portion of Van Buren County. It is south and east of Lawton right now, heading into southwestern Kalamazoo County, where there is a severe thunderstorm warning in effect. Going to move over into that. That is right here. Always jumps ahead of me, and that is the warning there for Kalamazoo County until 11:30. This is for areas of concern such as Schoolcraft, where the storm is right upon you, south of Oshtemo and just south of Portage, heading into the southern half of that county. Again, a tornado is possible because we've been tracking rotation with that as it's moved out of Van Buren County. I've not seen any indication, Michael, that they will extend the tornado warning, but that may not be the case. They may allow it to expire, but nonetheless, if you are in Kalamazoo County, this storm has had a history of producing some strong winds. Haven't seen any ground confirmation from that, but at least it's been producing strong winds as indicated on the radar. As any new information there, Michael, just keeping an eye on that. Let me look back here. The debris signature, or I should say the rotation with this, is a lot weaker than it was when it was moving into southern Van Buren County. Nonetheless, there is still a rotation here. Didn't see a lot of debris being lofted by that. This is inside the storm, and the rotation itself right here is got a few spots. This is just about ready to cross the Van Buren Kalamazoo County line. This is generally going to zoom in here south of that particular road there. That's W Avenue, or WW Avenue, and it's west of South 2nd Street, east of County Road 352. This is in Porter Township, heading into Prairie Ronde Township, all west of Schoolcraft, and this storm has been moving not all that fast, off to the east about 20-25 miles per hour, but all indications are that this storm is still rotating and has the potential of producing wind damage in those areas. I just got a report here. This is a little while ago, 9:54, so that's 20 minutes ago, that there was a funnel cloud spotted south of Lawton in Van Buren County by a trained spotter. New information here, Michael, just came in off. It says the tornado warning will expire at 10:15 for southeastern Van Buren County.
And that's good news that we're seeing that warning expire. That funnel cloud report you were mentioning there to the south of Lawton, very far south, almost right into portions of Cass County. So that forms pretty well with the area of storms that we've been continuing to track with that rotation potential as it works its way off towards Schoolcraft, now into portions of Kalamazoo County and into northern portions of St. Joseph County. So this would be an area to continue to watch for the potential for rotation. Again, seeing just what I call the jaggies in the storm here. You see that sort of jagged edge here where we could see those quick spin ups as the storm works its way off towards Schoolcraft, Vicksburg, Portage, south of Oshtemo. We're also keeping an eye on portions of Cass County, again, where we're seeing possible rotation in there as well. That scan we were talking about just a little bit ago that would be working its way toward Marcellus. We're still seeing that area on the radar as well with that potential rotation in portions of Cass County. So while we are seeing the tornado warnings now come to an expiration, the threat with these storms in terms of the possibility for severe weather, that's not completely gone here this evening. So it's going to be something that we may not have a tornado warning past pretty much right now, but we do still have severe thunderstorm warnings that covers portions of Cass County, St. Joseph County, Kalamazoo County. We'll likely see this severe threat continue toward Calhoun County as well. George.
Just got a notice on our NWS chat of a Facebook report down in Geneva Township, which is near South Haven. The quote from the person on the Facebook page said, "My sister just lost her farm stand, greenhouse, and chicken coop. Neighbor has fire from transformer. Our house yard just trees and furniture damage. It's dark, so we'll have more in the morning." We are one of the few houses with power right now. That was in Geneva Township in the South Haven area. I'm sure they'll be doing some storm surveys here tomorrow morning. Michael, we're going to continue to do a live stream. Do you think we'll do that?
Yeah, we can continue to do that at least for a little bit here because we're going to get close to the 11 o'clock show.
Well, I'm thinking of wrapping up here on our ABC station here so our folks can get back to watching the ESPY Awards. I know ESPY Awards are very important, but so is the safety of our viewers in town. If the storm was heading to your particular location, I'm sure you would want to stay informed and have the best coverage of severe weather team in West Michigan. Again, there are severe thunderstorm warnings in effect until 11:30 for Kalamazoo County. That is the only warnings right now in our viewing area. So we thank you for your patience, and we'll continue our live stream for those folks that want to follow us there. In the meantime, I'm Chief Meteorologist George Lessens along with Michael Behrens tracking the storms live in the 13 on Your Side Weather Center.
This is a severe weather alert. You are watching 13 on Your Side.
All right, looks like we are
back on our live stream.
Yes.
We are back. Michael Behrens and I have been just on the air and also live streaming here. We're now just live streaming our severe weather coverage since the threat of the tornado has passed for portions of Van Buren County. Let's recap some of the warnings we just talked about. This is a severe thunderstorm warning for Kalamazoo County until 11:30. This is for the storms that did have the potential of producing, if not they produced damage in Van Buren County as those storms moved on through. There are warnings also further south, just south of our viewing area, down into the Three Rivers area. This is for Cass and St. Joseph area that will expire about 10:30. So that's about another 12 minutes or so. We're going to get back up into the greater Grand Rapids area to focus on some of the storms that have been moving through here. We've had mainly just some heavy rain, Michael. I have not actually even heard any thunder from these storms, but that doesn't mean that didn't happen in your location.
Yeah, I was going to say, once you get north of really about the Allegan to Hastings line, this has just been a rain event. If you've been in Grand Rapids, Muskegon, Holland, portions of Ionia, you're probably asking what severe weather, and well, you've been lucking out this evening and have not had to deal with the severe weather.
At the flood, I'm going to look and see if I can pick out some of the rainfall that has fallen here. There's the storm total precip that I'm looking for. And here's some of the reports of the flooding. And let's see what some of the reports are here. This is in Wright. They've had over an inch of rain as of 8:30 this evening, so that's about a 2-hour-old report. This is about a 1-hour-old report. Comstock Park, 1.06. Heavy rain in Holland, 1.30, and Macatawa, 1.50. This was information from about an hour and a half ago. I polled a lot of our stations here in West Michigan. They'd already had 1 to 2 inches worth of rain. And so not only the concern was for the severe weather down to the south, but it's also for the flooding. There are a number of flood advisories for a good section of our viewing area. And that includes Muskegon, Montcalm, Ottawa, Kent, Ionia, Allegan, and Berry counties until 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, unless it's canceled earlier. Flood watches outside of that. There have been some ponding of some water. I saw some water over the roads in a couple of spots. And just looking at any of the other reports that might have come in, nothing heavier than that so far, but we'll do a complete reboot of the rainfall amounts once we get a chance to take a look at all of those here in West Michigan. Michael, I'm not sure I've got much more to pass along to our viewers that they don't already know, and other than the warnings for Kalamazoo County, so far this is just a rain event. And maybe we can see if those storms are continuing to produce any kind of rotation down now into the Kalamazoo area. I did not see those as they were moving out of the county of Van Buren. And in fact, there is a little bit of rotation there in the Schoolcraft area, but boy, it is really weak right now.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like a whole lot's going on there.
Yeah, I would say what we've seen here in the past 30 minutes as the storms have moved into Kalamazoo County has been a weakening trend. So that's good news. And while there isn't a continuance of a tornado warning, at least as of now, they have continued a severe thunderstorm warning. Well, issued a new severe thunderstorm warning for portions of Kalamazoo County until 11:30 tonight. I think the severe portion of that storm going to be off into Calhoun County before we reach that time period. So I would not be surprised to see the warning end early when it comes to what you see there in Kalamazoo County. We'll turn those on for you. Inside this black box here is the portion of the storm that is under a severe thunderstorm warning with a possibility for spinning up a tornado. And then we do have the additional severe thunderstorm warning. No tornado possible as of right now. That's down in portions of Cass and St. Joseph counties. That'll come to an end here, I believe, in about, I think it's like 10:45 with that warning down there. In fact, let me check the latest time on that particular warning, 10:30. So here about 8 minutes or so, that warning will come to an end. The warning up further to the north, again, I think going to be issued for a longer period of time than we see the severe portion of the storm stay with us. So that's good news that we are seeing the weakening trends here with these storms. So let's go ahead and take a close look here. 131 corridor in Kalamazoo County. If we do have the potential for something to spin up, it's going to be in this area where we've seen this entire area in here from Schoolcraft to Ostemo present some rotational aspects back through Van Buren County as we've been covering it on TV and on our social media digital platforms here for the past a little bit over an hour or so. We've been watching these storms. Right now, I'm not seeing anything on the Grand Rapids scan that is immediately concerning. Far less rotation right now popping up in Kalamazoo County, or even potential for rotation compared to what we saw over in portions of Van Buren County. I'll zoom down just a little bit to the Indiana radar, see if we see a very similar trend, and we are. We were talking a lot. You heard me speak about reds and greens. You're probably sick of it, but we are seeing the reds and the greens mostly just solid color here, which means all of the wind is going in one direction away from the radar, and that means that the potential for rotation not very big. There is still the possibility we could see a little bit of rotation in here toward the Schoolcraft area. That would be an area just to keep a close eye on things. Newest scan here from the Grand Rapids radar also showing at least that small potential right now, but far from what we saw earlier here this evening. If you are in Schoolcraft over toward Vicksburg, West U Ave over towards Sprinkle Road, East U Ave, Oakland Drive, 131 to the east, really, in Kalamazoo County, south of the city of Kalamazoo. This would be the area to be most concerned with right now. Something we'll continue to watch here through the next couple hours or so until the threat moves out of West Michigan, but not the intense rotational sign that we had over in Van Buren County. George.
Also, the heavy rain, we've had reports of some ponding of water in a couple of spots. I wanted to zoom into a few locations here in West Michigan to show you where the heaviest rain has fallen. Going to poll a couple of these reports. This was down toward the Behrens Center area. Just a few minutes ago, this was reported with some flooding rain ponding near 100th and US 131. Also here in Wyoming, the reports of some flooding as well. I'm looking for the actual report. That was as of about 8:27 when the heavy downpours were coming. And also over here in Bauer, where the emergency manager reported some localized flooding in those areas. Also going to poll some of the actual radar estimated rainfall totals. This is in Allegan County, over 1.5 inches of rain. Just east of Saugatuck, northwest of Allegan. And here in southern Ottawa County, I see a report of at least 2.7. This is all estimated from radar. I thought I saw at least one report of almost 3 inches worth of rain. There it is, that 3 inches of rain. Again, this is leading to some issues out on the area roads. If you are planning to travel this evening, you're not only going to run into ponding of water, maybe along the shoulders. There also could be some debris left over from the winds that have come through. Not really strong winds, though.
Yeah, definitely not too strong of winds. I mean, we would normally see larger areas of power outages when we see those type of events come through. Again, we're just going to keep a close eye.
Is that map updated over there, Michael?
Yes, I believe this is.
All right, so I have that
Correct.
so the folks at home can actually see that. There it is, it's loading. Maybe you can read what's going on there, Michael.
Yeah, so this is MEC, power provider down in Van Buren County. This is the area we were watching the rotation come through, and there are power outages across that area of concern, including the Lawrence area where, I mean, this is not a very big power provider, so we're talking 76 customers inside this entire blue square here. So there's not a lot of people out here, but 26 of them power taken out. And again, that's the same area we saw that potential debris come through, and the same area we saw that rotation come through. You factor that together with power outages, and it's likely something went through that area this evening.
Well, Michael, I think we've informed everyone as much as we can because we need to reboot and get ready for our 11 o'clock broadcast. And we'll see what kind of pictures and video we can come up with. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of video coming in out of the Chicagoland area already from those devastating storms there.
And you can see the storms now over Grand Rapids, seeing some lightning out there. But thankfully, if you're in the city, don't have to worry about severe weather here this evening.
Yeah, once again. So great job, Michael.
Yeah, great working with you, George. I think we'll get these people back to their evenings for now.
Absolutely. All right, thanks for joining us, and we'll do it all again, but not in the near future, hopefully.
This is a severe weather alert. You are watching 13 on your side.